When we talk about the marine sector, there are certain terms which keep on repeating itself again and again and again. So we should know the definition of these particular terms. So understand it in a better way. So someone says, what is trap provision, what is wheelhouse, and machine control room. So you all should be aware of it. What is accommodation? When we say accommodation in the building sector, the meaning is different. But when we talk about the marine sector, the accommodation means spaces used as a public room, cabins, office, hospital, cinema, games, hobby rooms, hairdressing salon, pantries, without cooking appliances. This is called an accommodation. Yes, in marine accommodations, these all things you may find. You may find a small cinema hall, you may find the games and hobby rooms over there, and offices and some small hospital. Hospital is not a big hospital, some small hospital, small we call it the medic room. So small medic room you will find over there. So yeah, the life you may find it's very luxurious life and all, but you need to understand that kind of stress in which they have to live in the middle of the ocean. If you see nobody is there outside the window, only sea and no people, you cannot say. Sometimes you call it as sometimes it calls a depression. People may fall into the depression. So to move out the depression, they make these all facilities available to them. And you might be saying that the food which is served at the marine guys, their 5-star food is there. If you see the lunch is there, it's a platter of lunch, everyday buffet is there. But you need to understand that the kind of food they are getting, the kind of the fruits or what they're getting, that is refrigerated fruits for more than 3 to 6 months, because ship has to sail in the sea, so that food has to be preserved. So that is not a fresh food what they are getting. It's a frozen food which get thawed and it is being served to them. So it's all about sacrifices they also make. So let's come to the next one. It's a machinery control room is a space containing the system of main alarm displays and controls for the proportional machinery. There is a proportional and thruster system by which rotates and ship moves forward or turns left, right, or whatever. So for these thrusters, we need some control panels or control systems, and electrical panels are kept in one particular room. That is nothing but a machinery control room. Wheelhouse is an enclosed area of bridge excluding radio cabin. That is this is a bridge means at the topmost level is called as a bridge. So don't get confused with a normal bridge. Bridge is the topmost level of the marine structure. And last but not the least is a dry provision store. As I already explained in my previous slide, what is a dry provision store? It's an enclosed compartment provided with lighting and ventilation for storage of provisions for ship's crew. That is dry provisions. It's not a wet provision, or it is not the refrigerated provision. It's a different topic altogether, refrigerated provision. So here you need to understand what is dry provision store, which I already explained. It's called as a pickle or rice or wheat. It is kept in this particular room. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. In this particular slide, we are going to talk about the outdoor design conditions. Section 4.2 and section 4.3 of this standard define about the summer temperatures and humidities and winter temperatures for the ships. As you know that ship moves from one location to another location, we cannot take a particular temperature. But suppose ship is constantly moving only to the cold sector like marine and the North Sea, or suppose it has to operate in the Middle East only, then these conditions we cannot consider. But rest all other region we can state this condition as mentioned in the ISO 7547. And if the ship is moving in the North Sea or the Gulf region, then we can take the respective temperatures of those regions and we can start the design based on that. So this section says like this: the summer temperature and humidities are as follows. The outdoor ambient condition for the summer plus 35 degrees and 70% RH you need to take. Then indoor room condition 27 degrees Celsius and 50% RH need to maintain. Then engine room condition, that is engines where the separate engine room is there where our engines are kept, and the one of the shaft goes to the propulsion and it moves the propulsion. So this is what very important aspect. And when we say 45 degrees Celsius and there is no control of relative humidity. Now the question may come that why 45 degrees Celsius when ambient is 35? How come 45? Because we need to mention that this 10-degree delta T may occur due to the heat dissipated by the engine itself. So this is what the 45 degrees Celsius comes from. So anyway, engine room will be hotter always than the subsequent rooms. And yes, in this particular course, I'm also going to teach you how to calculate the airflow for the engine rooms, these big engine rooms. So this is very interesting chapter that's going to be, because I'm going to show the calculation sheet properly one by one. That I'm going to share you the soft copy also. So you can do by your own whenever you will be given opportunity to by your client to do the calculation, you are aware of it. So for winter temperatures, outdoor air conditions minus 20 degrees Celsius and indoor conditions plus 20 degrees Celsius you need to maintain. As I mentioned in the note earlier, all temperatures selected are the dry bulb temperatures and because no wet bulb because already if you see for the summer conditions 70% RH is there and for the winter there is no relevance of relative humidity over here. All temperatures are stated as for the dry bulb temperatures. Above temperatures are not applicable for the extreme weather conditions. So this clearly defines it, and by this you might be understanding that heaters are eminent in this case. So we need to design the heaters accordingly because we need to keep minus 20 degrees and plus 30, 22 degrees Celsius. Of course, you need to have a heater. Or if you don't, if your client has given you the data boss, this is what the data you have to use for ambient condition and winter condition, well and good. But if you don't have any data, this is what you need to take and start to design because when any queries come, then you have your backup ready that okay on what basis you have calculated. Boss, I have calculated on basis of this particular standard, so you are safe because I've already explained in my previous modules in this course that insurance is very important. Suppose something happens to ship and it gets drowned and all your documents get checked and they release insurance if all your design is perfect and approved and it has some basis. So you have a basis and your company is safe and your company doesn't have to buy any indemnity bond or any losses. You don't have company have to don't suffer. So tell this thing to your boss also that this is the importance of this standard. Now here the game begins from section this onwards. Outdoor airflow ventilation quantity. Yes. Now section 4.4 talks about the outdoor airflow. That is nothing but a minimum quantity of outdoor air shall not be less than 40% of the total air supplied to the space is concerned. That means whichever calculation you are doing to calculate the outdoor air requirement has to be minimum 40% of your total supply air. Okay, so this is an interesting uh, clause you need to consider while calculating the ship marine air conditioning system, and it has written as a shall not be less than. It is not written that may not be less than, may be, no, clearly stated shall not be less than 40%. So end of the story. Okay, so let's go to the next important section, section 6.2. There are other sections like section 4.3, 4.10, blah blah blah, but those are not relevant or it is not explaining the things which is really you need to know. It's only nonsense theory. So focus on I've selected only those sections which really matter for the calculation purpose. So next move to the next section, that is section 6.2 supply airflow. The supply airflow to each air-conditioned space shall be calculated using whichever is the following criteria gives the highest value. Now let's see what ABC is. First is dehumidified supply airflow in summer, then dehumidified supply airflow in winter, and outdoor supply airflow not less than 0.008 meter cube per person, of which the space is designed. The air exhaust to the private sanitary rooms, bath, shower or WC shall be at least 10% higher than the air supply to the sanitary room. Now let's take what is 6.2 talks about. It talks about when you supply the air, it should be either dehumidified supply in the summer value, winter value or each person wise. Always mention based on my experience I am saying that value which is mentioned in first will be always highest because in winter There's very less sensible load and plus less summer load, so this value cannot be higher in winter. And plus in outdoor air supply, maximum 100 if you take, 0.8008 comes to around 30 cmh per person. So 30 cmh, even if you put 100, it becomes 3000 cmh at any given point of time. For such a big people on board and such installation needed, accommodation load will be always higher, and dehumidified same film in summer will be always higher. So without any worry, you can go for the criteria A over here. The second bullet point talks about the 10% higher airflow than the supply. The reason is that standard, as you know, the smell is there. So smell should not transform into the accommodation. So that it is saying that exhaust should be 10% higher than the supply. That makes sense because you are creating some kind of a negative pressure. So all the smell will go out from the exhaust. And the note is there for crowded areas such as the mess room and changing room, the outdoor air supply uh, should be there's a value stated over here. That value we have to meet meter cube per person.